What's up, guys? Brady Fugel here, coming at you with episode one of my new series, Deeper Dives, where we don't just dive deep, we dive deeper. Today, we're talking Deftones, and I am joined by the biggest Deftones fan I've probably ever met, Hector, the chill dude on the couch. Hector, thank you so much for being here. First of all, can you tell me about when you first got into Deftones? Like, what got you into the band? Was the first album you heard from them? Anything like that?
Yeah, first of all, I'm happy to be on your channel. So the first time I listened to Deftones was the Crow soundtrack. Not the first Crow movie, the one after that, the one that sucked. But in that soundtrack, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they had one, I can't remember if it was My Own Summer Shove or Far Away. But there was a Deftones track. It was on the Crow City of Angels. And I remember I bought that soundtrack, and that's the first time I listened to Deftones. And at that moment, the first albums, I gotta be honest, before my cousin used to burn CDs for me at that time on CDs. So I had Adrenaline and this one that I now have on vinyl, Around the Fur. Uh, I didn't buy the CD. I had it burned. And then I had it on my kids before streaming. There was something called iPod.
Yes, yes. I do. I remember the iPod days. Yeah.
I had the iPod. But the first time I listened to Deftones was with that Crow City of Angels. But the first physical album I bought was White Pony in 2000.
Nice, very nice. Well, for me, I'm a much more recent Deftones fan. Around the time I was like 15 or 16 years old, I really started keeping up with like the mainstream rock charts. And I discovered Deftones because they were getting ready to release Gore in 2016. And the first single from that album, Prayers Triangles, hit the radio waves, and I kept seeing it all over the charts. I'm like, I never checked out Deftones. I gotta check them out. So then I listened to Prayers Triangles, and I was like, it was instant. I was like, this is fucking awesome. And then Gore dropped, and I loved it. And then dove into the back catalog, and here we are now. So I'm a more recent Deftones fan for sure, but I'm still before that new generation of fans that all came within the 2020s, the younger generation. So it's still been very satisfying to see the band rise to the success they are now, and have arguably like the biggest second win that any rock or metal band has ever had. That's awesome to see. So how this is going to work is we're going to go through pretty much the band's entire chronological timeline, starting from when they formed in 1988, I should say. We're going to give some thoughts along the way. And at the end of the video, we are going to give our top three Deftones songs, period. Top three Deftones songs from each of us. And then we're going to say maybe what we want to hear next from the band. And yeah, we're just going to get right into it. The band formed in 1988. Chino Moreno, Stephen Carpenter, and Abe Cunningham were actually all friends when they were younger. They began jamming until the band formed. And then they had a few lineup changes formed before bassist Chi Chang joined the mix, and the band's core lineup had been formed at this point. The band did release a few demos before they eventually released their debut album, Adrenaline, in October of 1995. To underwhelming success at first, but after a lot of touring, a lot of promoting, and a lot of hard work, the band did start to build a fan base. So, Hector, what are your thoughts on Adrenaline, the debut?
So it's funny because when Adrenaline dropped, I remember so they were called Baby Corn. Corn had released their first album in 1994. So they had like a rivalry from Sacramento to Bakersfield. I didn't listen to Adrenaline in 1995 when it came out because back in 1995, I was still like more like in the still more like grunge era of music of what I like and heavy metal. Uh, Even Korn, I think I started listening to them more like in 1996. That so I didn't listen to that Korn album when it came out. So at 1995, I was mostly with grunge and post grunge bands like Bush, 311. I was more listening to that before, so I didn't listen to Deftones until I believe 1997 to 1998.
Okay. Okay. So this was obviously an album that I had to listen back on and discover since it was the first album. What really, even to this day, listening back on other albums, what separates this album apart from me is that it's really aggressive. It still is probably like their heaviest record to date, I would say. Chino does a lot of screaming on there in the riff department. The riffs are really groovy and have somewhat of like a hardcore influence a little bit to my ears listening back on it. Um, and yeah, this is their debut album. It was the kind of foundation. It's obvious to me listening to this that this is kind of the band still trying to figure out their sound a little bit. But after this record was released, the B side off of this album that was in the movie The Crow City of Angels, I did make a note of that here. It was called Teething. So that gave them, I think, a little bit of exposure, right? And
So
eventually,
that was
say
probably the song that I heard from the
yeah,
Crow
it
Rangers. I'm
might
like,
be.
what's a Deftones song?
Yep. And this album ended up being certified gold in 1999 and then later platinum in 2008. Um, and so, yeah, it built success over time. And in 1997, October 1997, the band unleashed their second album, Around the Fur, this time to instant acclaim upon release, driven by the hit singles My Own Summer and Be Quiet and Drive. So, Hector, what are your thoughts on Around the Fur?
Well, Around the Fur is a classic. You can't talk Around the Fur and not talk about Discover. So the story about Discover is basically they were at an after party and this woman was just like sitting there and they snapped a shot. And actually, I saw a video on YouTube of her now, and she's actually still a Deftones fan.
I saw that too. They just did that story about how like it was like to update what she looks like now and everything. It was funny.
She looks better here, but that's everyone looks better when they're younger.
Yeah, of
But
course.
yeah, it's a cool. Well, I thought like maybe they would get. I don't know if they got some flack because the album's called Around the Fur,
Mm,
and you have like a woman and
mm, right, right.
like so. I don't know, like, but I remember watching this album cover, like, and being like, wow, this is it's a great album cover. It's a great picture. It pops your attention. And I like the Deftones logo with the D is not like it's like a shorter D. So yeah, the first video I remember watching on MTV the video for My Own Summer Shove. I was so dumb back in the day that I actually thought that they did that in the ocean with the white sharks. I'm like, you're so hardcore. But the video and like the
Metal as fuck. Metal as fuck.
yeah, I'm like, and then I saw the making. I'm like, ah. But then, as an adult, I'm thinking like, what the hell was I thinking? What the fuck is going to do a video with white sharks actually circling you?
Yeah. Well, this is obviously one of Deftones' most successful albums to this date. It's one of the most acclaimed records of their catalog. And to me, it's the record where they really discovered their own sound. They really started to do something that was a bit more unique than the debut. There's several songs on here that I think still stand alone in the band's catalog. Like I love Mascara. I think that's a somewhat underrated song on this album just because of how much everyone loves My Own Summer and Be Quiet and Drive, which are great songs too. So I just wanted to shout that one out. And yeah, the this album ended up being again certified gold in 1999 and platinum in 2011. The band ended up touring all around North America and Europe. After this, they performed at Ozfest and Warped Tour. They ended up releasing a live EP in 1998 before the third album, White Pony, released in June of 2000. To even further acclaim. And if Around the Fur was the band really establishing their own sound, then White Pony is them taking it and just expanding on it all around in every single different way. It's arguably still one of the most experimental records.
Yeah,
You're gonna say something?
before we go on the pony, like Around the Fur, also, if you see interviews with Chino Moreno, This is actually his Chino Moreno's favorite Deftones
I
record.
have, yeah, I have heard that too. Yeah.
Prefer because he said that he's never going to be as angry as he was on this record, which is surprising because I think Adrenaline is more angry, but
Yeah.
this is more focused anger. I think it's done better. Adrenaline, when you see Adrenaline, they're like kids. They're like, they're going through the motions. But here you see a band that has honed their sound. And also you have on Head Up, Max fucking Cavalera.
Yeah.
Like
That's right.
on your second record, that alone is like recognition enough that like you're a influential band. So yeah, but yeah, I'm ready for for White Pony because I got a bone to pick with you. No,
It's still funny. I'm always gonna crack up about that. We'll I'll share the reference at the end of the video where we'll talk about the past content we've done on Deftones. But yeah, White Pony still arguably the band's most beloved album from all of their fans. And it's another record that sees them just experimenting in the most bold ways there is. So Hector, your thoughts on White Pony?
these ones I like Deftones, but I gotta be honest. Like back at that time, I was more of a Korn and Limp Bizkit fan.
Okay.
But when White Pony came out, I thought White Pony just made them go like it was so innovative.
Yeah.
Also, at the time that that album came out, I had just like recently gone through a breakup, so I was like pissed, like
Hmm.
sad. Maybe I'm sure I was depressed. I didn't know what they called it back then. Like
You were crying in the car listening to Teenager and
I was like, "Ugh." And this album came out in 2000, and it was like a pivotal point in my life. And I remember listening to it, and very important, the original version does not have the rap version of like
back to school, right? I didn't. It's funny. I didn't know that until you told me that, however many months ago. When you told me that after I did that discographer ranking, I was like, no, I was like, no shit, I didn't know that. But to
they
me, it makes sense. I don't think that song belongs on the album, personally.
the story about that song, even though it's an okay song, but if you listen to that song, it doesn't go with the vibe of the record.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. And especially because the ideas like that are in that song, to me, they're presented just in much better ways when Pink Maggot comes in at the end of the record. So like I just starting the record off that way, and it just I don't know, that song doesn't do it for me. It's a little too POD, but I obviously love the rest of the album. It's just but that was interesting when you told me that. I was like, no shit. I could see it though.
Yeah, what happened back at the time is their record label told them, "Oh, we need rap metal is huge. We need a hit." So apparently, Chino Moreno said that they did that song like in an hour or something, and then they're like, "Here, this is how easy to do a song." So I don't even think the band likes that song because it's just basically Pink Maggot, but rearranged as a rap thing. Because if you listen to Pink Maggot, it's like a 7.5 minute, almost Pink Floyd type of
Hmm.
song. It's like it's real fucking good. So they just did it to please the record label. But yeah, White Pony when it came out, I love because it had anger, the lyrics, when you have a song like Elite where you're shouting when when you bleed when you bleed out of control, like what a song.
Uh-huh.
You're right. You bleed out of control. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, there you
it's a very strong song about menstruation in,
go.
in a way. But all this, you have songs like Teenager, Night Party, Fetishada, which starts the record. It's dark as fuck.
Hmm.
It's a song about someone that you have hostage in the back of your truck or car. It's like when you listen to it, it's real fuck. It's like real dark.
Oh
This,
yeah.
this is their even those albums were before aggressive, but this was dark and atmospheric. It really blew my mind. This is why I bought this version 20 years later from directly from the band. It's one of my most expensive vinyl that I
Yeah.
like a
Wow.
60 or something. but it has like the original album remixes, and like it has everything to do with White Pony. I even stayed. They did like a thing back in 2020 where they did something, and I stayed online to watch the YouTube where they were doing like the celebration of this. So I'm a huge fan. So
Sure, yeah.
so yeah, so that it's an album that it's an essential album for me. It's one of those. It's like Alter Bridge free for you.
Okay, that really puts it in perspective. Yeah. Do you have a tattoo of White Pony though?
No, it's a Deftones tattoo. I have a tattoo of something music is life, and I have like a dragon in the back. I don't know why, but
I
uh,
got my AB3 tattoo right here.
yeah, when you did your video, you're like showing it, but you couldn't. People couldn't see it because the logo was.
Yeah, I saw that after. I was like, damn it. It was like, whatever. But something that I really like about this album, White Pony, that I don't hear talked about a lot is just the sequence of songs at the end. Like the 1 2 3 hit of Passenger, the song with Maynard from Tool, which is badass. You have the massive Change in the House of Flies, one of their most well known songs, and then like we've already discussed, Pink Maggot. Um, Great way to end the album. This is probably like the ending's probably my favorite part of it altogether. And we also, of course, have to shout out the spicy song on here, Digital Bath, right? That's still a fan favorite. And it might be honestly my favorite song off this album as well. Just one of the songs that has just a really entrancing mood to it that I think is also somewhat of Deftones kind of showing what they would do more in the future a little bit on that song, just because of how atmospheric it is. So yeah, White Pony, they're
Too gazy.
yeah, yeah, exactly. This record probably is where the shoegaze really crept into their music the most, I would say. And I do have to shout out the song Elite, that because that song did it was nominated for a Grammy, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it was nominated for a Grammy.
It
It actually
lost.
won the Grammy. I'm
It
just looking
won.
at my notes here. Yeah, it won the Grammy. It won Best Metal Performance 2001, which is awesome. And as of 2026, this album is actually double platinum. So it's their most successful album to this day still. Um, and yeah, so shortly after this record was released, they put out the Back to School Mini Maggot EP, which did include the reworked version of Pink Maggot. Now, uh, Back to School Mini Maggot, we know it at the start of the record. They began working on the fourth album shortly after. It is worth noting that Chino Moreno actually injured his vocal cords a little bit in between the third and fourth record sessions, and he required some. He had to go under different recovery and training programs and stuff, and then eventually he was able to record the vocals. And their self-titled fourth album was released in May of 2003 to positive reviews. Now, this to me, I know a lot of people seem to either really love this album or really hate this album. Or I shouldn't say hate it, really love or just kind of, place it towards the bottom of the discography. I enjoy it, but to me, it is one of the not an essential release in the Deftones catalog. That's probably the best way of putting it. But Hector, I think you like this album, right?
Yeah, I think we should tell Tom that we should do a Dark Horse episode for this one.
Okay, okay.
This is, you know what? I like the record, but come on, it's hard to follow up White Pony.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
When this came out, I could say that I was maybe a little disappointed because I thought it's good, but it's not White Pony.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Over the years, I think it's a solid record. I just think it's so hard to follow a classic album. It
Absolutely.
happens to every band. When you follow, it's like when Metallica had to follow the Black Album.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You follow and White Pony, that's so it's so well loved. You're gonna get like people that don't like it. And I think what people maybe didn't like about this is that I think it's more of a not basic record, but compared to White Pony, it's more. I think it's more like Deftones by the numbers a little bit. They played it safe.
Safer. It's safer. That's how I was going to describe it too. Yeah.
But a lot of people get this as a tattoo.
Yeah, that is a cool tattoo. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a cool tattoo. The thing I think the reason why I personally don't consider this like an essential release for Deftones is because, especially given that this is their fourth album and their first three records, as we've already discussed, like did a great job of expanding Deftones' sound and sounding more and more different from one another. Whereas this album, it doesn't really feel like it's pushing the band's sound into any new territory of any kind. It feels like on this record they're kind of doing stuff that they've already done. That doesn't mean that it's a bad record by any means.
No.
But it is, I would say, one of the safest Deftones records. That's the best way of putting it. Do you have any further thoughts on this album, Hector?
So yeah, I bought the only there's a few albums on Deftones that I still have to buy on vinyl. I almost have all of them. But this one I bought it because it was like the 20th anniversary and it had like a cool looking red variant. But there's songs here that I like. I like Needles and Pins, Hexagram, Minerva. Minerva to me, I like it, but it's like a lesser version of white of like changing the House of Flies.
Right, yeah. That's another thing I noticed on here is that it feels like they're kind of trying to just do stuff they've already done, like even down to specific songs. Like that's a good example, I think.
Yeah, no, Minerva, it's like a lesser version of a better song.
Hmm.
But there's some other cool songs here, but I do agree it's not as memorable as White Pony, and I think when I did a ranking, it's more in the lower half for me.
For
Uh,
sure.
with records, even though Deftones records they go up, they go down.
Right. Yeah.
It someday.
It's never, yeah. It's always changing the way the way you rank the albums and stuff. So after this album was released, it was certified gold. Actually, very shortly after it was released in June of 2023, it was already certified gold. After that, the band released a B-sides and rarities compilation along with a behind-the-scenes DVD showcasing some of their touring lifestyle. And then their fifth album, recording it, they said it was different in several ways. For one, they stepped away with working from producer Terry Date, who had produced the band's first four records. And actually learned that Chino recorded his vocals separately from the rest of the band on this record too, which I had not known until doing more research for this video actually. And it was also said that there was some kind of creative tensions and stuff in the personal lives of the band members. So this seemed like it was one of the more difficult records for Deftones to kind of get through at the time. But eventually, Saturday Night Wrist was released on Halloween of 2006. It was at first a lot less successful, just sales wise, than the previous albums at the time. It had 76,000 copies sold within the first week, as opposed to 167,000 that the self-titled sold in the first week. So there was quite a dip in sales. But I mean, this album still has some bright moments to me. It's definitely probably one of the most unique albums in the Deftones catalog, I would say. Hector, did you do a video on this album? Did you do it? Isn't that bad for this album?
I did, and is it that bad for this episode? Because this is an album that got a lot of mixed reviews, but I gave it a thumbs up because I think this is an amazing fucking album. That it's one of those albums that it has aged better with time. I don't know who this woman is on the cover. I don't know what she was doing, but come on, this album cover screams sexy. This is also one of the Deftones' more sexier atmospheric records. I think they work with producer Bob Ezrin, who I think worked with like bands like Pink Floyd and other stuff. So it's an album that I like it because they got out of their comfort. Because this was a more of like a comfort zone record. And for this one, they went balls out. They said, you know what? We're going to do something different. And I liked it because they went back to what they did in White Pony. They got out of their comfort zone. They experimented. And there's some really great tracks on here. There's only one track that I would eliminate, and that's
Oh, I
Peaks.
wonder what song it is. Yeah, I wonder what song it is.
So to this day, I have no idea why they included this in the record. About it baffles me. But besides that track, everything else on this record, I think they have a song with Serge Tankian. from System of a
Yes,
Down
that's
here.
right. Mine, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they have some interesting things on it, and I like the moodiness of this record. I even saw uh, the Metal Meltdown also gave a lot of love to this record. Apparently, I think he said it's his favorite Deftones record.
Really? Huh. Did not know.
So, but yeah, I can see why it was divisive. When this came out, I was in Spain.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't buy it until I got back. I was like, oh, the new Deftones. Well, back then in 2006, there was no streaming service.
Right. Yeah. Uh-huh. And
So
even if you had to, buy music online, if you wanted to listen to it on your phone or something, you had to, get on Wi-Fi and stuff and and all that. Yeah. So it was, yeah.
back then, I bought it on CD when it came out. Uh, but yes, it's a very bold record from the band, and this was like the band saying, you know what, they were distancing themselves more from that new metal tag.
hmm I agree. And honestly, I don't. You probably agree with this. I don't think they ever fit in fully into the new metal movement because they were releasing albums like White Pony in 2000. So yeah, like we've already discussed.
And like if you Adrenaline has a lot of hardcore elements, like you
Yeah.
mentioned. So I never considered them like a new metal band. I just considered them it's like Deftones.
Yeah.
Uh, I think they have more shoegaze than new metal in their music. So
I
yeah,
always call them I always call them alternative metal. That's the way I see it, just because that's such an umbrella subgenre, So like anything could fit in there pretty much. That's just like the safest way you can describe them, I think. But yeah, Saturday Night Wrist, another, like you said, fairly divisive record in the catalog. People seem to either really like it or really don't like it. This is another record for me that is, at least to me, one of the more less essential releases in the catalog. But there is some very bold experimentation on this record still, so I definitely respect it a lot more than the self-titled record. But to me, the band would get even better after this. You were gonna say something?
yeah. Before you go on that one, I actually have like this. I don't know how many people have this vinyl. This is a
Okay.
Deftones covers vinyl. I also you mentioned the B sides, so there's a few of those B sides here on this one. Like they have like covers from you have Drive, Caress, Please Please Let Me Get What I Want, a cover of like the Smiths, No Ordinary Love by Day. So yeah, I don't know. This is I don't remember I got this, but it's like I not everyone has this covers like by Deftones, but I have it.
hmm For
Yeah.
sure. Before we get on to their next album, it is worth noting that shortly after the release of this album, and they began recording their next album, Eros, at the time. But unfortunately, bassist Chi Chang tragically was in a car accident. He went through a car accident and got put into a coma, where he would later pass away in 2013. So rest in peace, Chi Chang. Hector was a major Deftones fan at the time, I think. Do you remember what the news was like when this happened?
Oh yeah, I remember when that happened. I was like, oh damn, because you know Chi Cheng was a great bassist, but also he had like this personality to him. You know, he had the dreadlocks.
hmm
He had like this style. So it was like very unfortunate. He had like a motorcycle accident, and what I like is that the band kind of wait. You know, they didn't like after uh, Saturday Night Reese. They didn't put out anything until 2010.
Yeah,
What?
they took their time. Yeah.
Because I think this happened when they were working on the Eros project.
Yep.
There's a song online for Eros. I think it's called Smile. I've listened,
Smile. Yep.
and it's pretty good. At some point, I know they have reservations to putting this out there, but as a Deftones fans, at some point, I wish they released Eros. Like
hmm Yeah.
just like a tribute to Shisha.
Yeah.
Because I think they said that the record's kind of experimental.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it's like in the vein of Saturday Night Risk, but I wish Eros would see this. I don't think fans would see it as a cash grab or anything like that. I think fans want to listen to the last music that Chichen was a part of with the band.
I agree. And I think I at least, and it looks like you two, both of us have, a little bit of hope that this album will get released. I think the majority of Deftones fans do as well. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for that one because I know a bunch of us are curious how that record sounds like. Um, so yeah, eventually, bassist Sergio Vega joined the band, and they began recording their sixth album. Diamond Eyes was then released in April of 2010. Acclaim. Now, this is one of my personal favorite Deftones records. To me, it's very forward thinking. It's a much more cohesive and tight listen, and the songs to me are a bit more emotionally powerful in a way. Whereas other Deftones album in the past sounded like they were kind of all over the field a little bit. Diamond Eyes manages to my ears have that experimentation, but still stay focused and still feel like a cohesive album all the way through. This album is certified gold. Hector, your thoughts on Diamond Eyes?
So I have a there's a I have a theory. Every time that Deftones puts an animal on their cover, it's an amazing record. We'll
It's a
get
good theory. It's a good theory.
down the road, but I got this was my album of the decade from
Hmm.
2010 to 2019 when I did a list. Was my favorite album of that decade. Sometimes it this album rivals White Pony for
Yeah.
me. It did because first they did something like so amazing with this record. When they released, I'm trying to remember which one was the first single. Was it Diamond Eyes or was it Rocket Skates?
I think it was Rocket Skates. I think it was Rocket Skates.
I got at that time when Rocket Skates came out and stuff. I did an internet radio show with a friend of mine called Rock Century 21, and the intro song was Rocket Skates,
Uh-huh.
which is an amazing riff. This album to me had dynamics, it had like experimentation, and it wasn't bloated. It's like 41, 42 minutes in length, so it's a perfect runtime.
Hmm.
It had sexiness back. Songs like You've Seen the Butcher.
Yeah.
I remember the music video. That's another thing. Chino got back in shape because when they released Saturday Night Race, he was struggling with stuff and he got a little bit bloated. For this one, they brought the sexy Chino Moreno back,
Bringing sexy back.
literally.
Well, yeah. So this is one of my personal favorite Deftones albums. It's always between this one and the next one we're about to talk about here. Before we get to that one, it is worthy to note that in April 2011, the band did drop that covers album that Hector you just held up. It consisted entirely of covers that the band had recorded pretty much from their entire career up to that date. And then yeah, after that record, we got Koi no Yokan released in November of 2012 to further critical acclaim.
I
How'd you
don't have
think
that
about
one on
going to
vinyl.
say it again?
I don't have quite no Yokan on vinyl.
Oh man, I should get that one on vinyl. I don't even have a record player.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Koi no Yokan, what makes this record special to me is just its overall atmosphere. This is a record that is one of the most atmospheric releases Deftones has ever released. It managed to sound so like easy on the ears and weightless at times, yet the moods still kind of differentiate from each other because you have tracks like Leathers and Graphic Nature that are real dissonant, but then you also have the beautiful melodies on tracks like Entombed and the closer What Happened to You, and of course Rosemary, which is a fan favorite. So there's a lot to love on this record.
Thanks.
Might just be my favorite record. I won't reveal that because I encourage you all to check out my discography ranking that I uploaded on this record. And I think Hector, you also did a tier list for Deftones, correct?
I did a tier list for Deftones,
Yeah.
including obviously the new record because it wasn't out at the time.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
so I'm gonna put both my video and Hector's video in the description of this video or in the comments. One or the other, maybe both. We'll see. So you guys can check out where and how we would rank Deftones' albums amongst each other. But Hector, tell me your thoughts on Koi no Yokan.
so actually, I don't love quite know Yokai as much as Diamond Eyes, but Why No Yokan, which means it has something to do with love, is their most shoegazy record.
Hmm.
It's also the picture of this hotel. I think it's somewhere in Asia, the hotel where they took this picture. Songs like Tempest, Rosemary. This album is all about like that. Like so it
It's a
almost
mood record, a mood record for
blanket,
sure.
like an electric blanket of music going over you.
Hmm.
Also, they put it out pretty fast.
Yeah.
Like they I think they with the success of Diamond Eyes, they were inspired, and that's why they put out this record in 2012, I
Yeah,
believe.
it was only 2.5 year difference, so that's
Yeah,
pretty impressive.
that's the quickest that they released an
Yeah,
album.
you're
Uh,
right. Yeah.
and I want to get it on vinyl because I'm like it is a great album. Their shoegaze elements on that one, like the atmospheres, are great. Chino sounds great on this record, and,
Hmm.
and also it was produced by that's the second album that they did with Nick Raskulenix, who
Hmm.
did the one before, and Nick I think did a great.
He kills it. Yeah, he kills it with Deftones.
I know a lot of people love Terry Date, but if I have to pick the best producer for Deftones, I would say Nick Raskulenix.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I think he absolutely kills it with them, as evident on the 3 albums he has done with them. um, so yeah, this is another to me standout release for the band. After this one, they began eventually working on their follow-up album to this one. There was some notable creative tensions displayed between some of the members in the band when they were recording this one, but it ended up being released in April of 2016. That record is called Gore. This was the record that got me into the band, so I might have a little bit of bias towards it, but I actually love this record. I also think this is one of their best. I know this is again kind of a divisive love or hate kind of relationship that Deftones fans have with this record. I am on the side that it's one of their best. Hector, what are your thoughts on it?
So I actually we did a dark horse list for that one on Tom's channel
That's right. Yeah.
because I suggested that one. When it came out, I wouldn't say I didn't like it, but I remember my top 25 of that year, and this album came in 20. And that for me, having Deftones at number 20
Yeah.
was like a big deal. I think it's grown with me over time, and I just think it followed Diamond Eyes and Kwai no Yokan, which were like top-notch records.
Yeah.
So Core, I think the problem was the lack of the. I think Stephen Carpenter kind of checked out on that album. That was the problem. I think Stephen Carpenter wanted to do something heavier. So I think Gore is more of a Chino Moreno driven record. It's more
Mhm.
driven by Chino's vocals than like the other albums, which is a mixture of Stephen Carpenter's like
Right.
guitar tone,
Yeah.
Chino Moreno, and obviously Dave Cunningham is a great drummer, and and Sergio Vega at that time really mixed in well with the band. But it's an album that when I listen to it, I think it's got like that atmospheric. It's got a great track with Jerry Cantrell from Alice in
Yeah.
Chains.
Phantom Bride. Yeah, that's a great song. Awesome guitar solo from him too.
Exactly. I think people were expecting more aggression.
Mhm. Yeah, it's definitely there is maybe somewhat of a noticeable absence of guitar riffs on this record. To me, I actually, and this is something that I criticize a lot in my reviews, just an absence of riffs. But I think it actually works for Deftones on this record. That's just my opinion. The opinions are all over the place. But as far as this being a more Chino Moreno, more vocal focused album, I do agree with that. There's again a much more prominent element of atmosphere on this one. The riffs do kind of come in on a track like Acid Hologram, which has like some doom metal influence. That's a deep cut, I think, from this album. But overall, definitely a less riff focused approach on this record. Um, But yeah, I mean, to me, I think it's fine. Um, and yeah, so after that, the band began recording once again, and we got the next record, Ohms, right in the middle of COVID in September 2020. I remember 2020 was like somewhat of a slow year for rock and metal albums, at least for me. So like this was like one of the standout albums of that year for me, and I listened to it like so much when we were all quarantining and trying not to get sick. Hector, what are your thoughts on Ohms?
So Almost was my number two album of the year for 2020.
Me
Oh,
too. Me too. I remember that. Yeah.
let's see if we had the same number one. It was Code Orange.
Mine was Seether.
Oh,
Yeah.
see? Which one? Which Cedar record?
CV's Passem Parabellum. Yeah. And the records dropped very close to each other too, and they're pretty similar stylistically. So those two records go very much hand in hand for me. But the Code Orange record was great that year too. That was up there for me also.
Yeah. So I remember I was excited when this came out because 2020, like we all know, sucked. So having a new Deftones, but it sucks. They couldn't, this is a true story. When they were gonna put out this record before, uh, like they were gonna do a tour, I almost bought a ticket to see them in San Francisco. Oh, this is a bit. I've had such bad luck with Deftones.
Yeah, you got to tell the story. You got to tell the story, man.
Back in 2006, when they put out Saturday Night Race, they were gonna play the Family Values Tour. So it was Korn, Deftones, Stone Sour, Flyleaf. I went for Deftones and Korn. But I was for Deftones. It was in New York. I went with a buddy of mine. So when we got to the venue, there was like a storm. The venue fucking flooded, and they canceled.
Oh God, that's
So, and to this day, that one still hurts. That's one of like it really hurts. But I haven't. I'll see Deftones. I gotta see them. They're my favorite band, and I haven't been able to see them. So yeah, I bought this when it came out. It's it's an album. I think people. I think it was more of a return. It was to me. This album was a combination of what they did in Quite Know You Can with Gore and Diamond Eyes. They had a little bit of everything on this one. Uh,
the riffs definitely came back on a few of these songs. Like
yes.
Arantia has a really groovy riff. Same thing with Radiant City, two
Oh,
very riffy songs. So that was nice to see. I remember being happy to hear that when I first heard this album back when it dropped.
yeah,
Um,
great tracks and the variant that I got is gold, so it looks really good.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Ohms, this it seems to be another fairly divisive album in the catalog. I've seen people place it somewhat lower in their rankings. Um, I personally enjoy it. Like I said, I like how the riffs came back on the two tracks that I mentioned. You still have some of the more spacey stuff, like Pompeii is a song that I think is pretty underrated from this one. Ceremony, pretty groovy song. The title track too.
Mathematics.
Say it again. Oh, Spell of Mathematics. It's a great one too. I love the dissonance in that one. Yeah, for sure. So that's another to me somewhat underrated album in the catalog too. I probably would place it still in the upper half of the catalog, but I can still kind of see where the detractors come from somewhat. So after this record was released, the band started to have their second win. I think it was probably in like 2023 is probably when it started. I don't remember if maybe they had some songs trend on TikTok or something, or just the band's music started getting more and more spread out. And before we knew it, there was this whole new generation of young Deftones fans, which is great to see. Like I said earlier, I think that I can't think of another band who has had this much of a second win in their career than Deftones have. I mean, they're going on over 30 years, and I think they're bigger now than they've ever been, which
They
is
get it, and
yeah.
I mean, they're bigger than they ever been. They got their Dia de los Deftones, which I'm thinking that would be a great place to go see them.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So like it's really I've only been a fan of this of Deftones for about 10 years now. But Hector, you've been a fan of them for how many years now have you been a fan of them for?
So like really, like when I like a full blown fan, I would say now 26 years because what you
26 years. So I can't imagine how rewarding it must be for you to see a band that you've been a fan of for this long get so much attention and so much modern and modern fame, like more than ever before. I've been a fan of the band for 10 years and I'm like, that's awesome. Like I'm so happy for them. I can't imagine how it must be for you and for any OG Deftones fans. Um,
I fought people who tell me, oh, they suck. Like, I take it like very personal with them or stuff like that. Yeah. So no, it's I can't believe that they're so huge now because right now to me they surpassed Corn, which was bigger than them, but Corn has released a few stinkers
yeah,
in,
yeah,
in their discography. To me, Deftones, even the albums that have gotten like less great reviews, I don't think they have put out a bad record. In
I
my,
agree.
I think every record has something good. Even obviously, there's some that are better than others. But like Gore, I never understood the hate that it got. I,
Mhm.
I didn't love it as much, but it's not a bad record. I think it's a great record. It's just
Mhm.
a little bit different. And also, something else, the Deftones, they're like a band that never put out like the same record. It doesn't sound like it has like a sound that you hear that and you're like that Deftones, but it doesn't feel like they copy paste.
I agree. I agree. They've definitely never made the same record twice. And I was also going to say that just the fact that they're as big as they are now, it's also a testament to me this band's talent. Just because the soundscapes that they create in their songs are obviously very very relatable, and it takes a lot of talent to pull something like that off and still have people love it as much as they do, and usher in a whole new generation of fans. So the band really started to take off in about 2023 again. Uh, over 20 years after they originally did. And then most recently, we got their newest album, Private Music, released in August of this past year, 2025. This album, Private Music, was literally like the defining album of my 2025. It was my album of the year. Hector was your album of the year.
We
Yeah.
were tuning. We had the same album of the year, but like I love it when you said on your review, like I know it's gonna sound basic, and I'm like, do not apologize.
I did my top 10. I was like, I'm a basic bitch. I don't care. Deftones my number one.
Like if people say like, why did you put Deftones? Because it's my fucking list.
Yeah, it's true.
And again, the theory. They put out an album with an animal on the cover.
Yeah, it's true. It's some kind of voodoo thing or something with these animals. I don't know what, but
Yes. Every time they put an animal in the cover, it's an essential album. And now that I've had a few months with this album, I'm telling you, if I did like a ranking now, this album is climbing, like really climbing, because like it's an album that I find like every time that I listen to it, I get rewarded.
hmm
Uh, the bass line on Ecdysis,
yeah. hmm
the new bass player, what's the name of the new bass player? Fabian.
Yes. Yes.
I think fitting like a glove with them.
Yeah, I agree. That one and Souvenir too. That's a huge highlight for me also. That was just the such an entrancing song. And it's funny, like you mentioned, the fact that I've had now a lot more time with it since I first discussed it. This was a record that I gave a perfect score to. As far as ranking it, like my top two albums that I did in the discography ranking, I also gave perfect scores for. So I think those albums and this one kind of all together can just constantly be rotating for whatever my favorite Deftones album is because they're just all so close to each other. But as I singled out in my review for that record, again, like kind of like what I said about Koine Okan, the most like the biggest reason why this album stands alone on the Deftones scale for me is just because of the overall atmosphere to it. Like everyone really sounded like more than ever before that they were just trying to create atmosphere on this record, just in Stephen Carpenter's guitar style, how he incorporated more of like those droning type riffs, the production for one, the vocal production. Chino's vocals sounded arguably spacier than ever, even when they got more aggressive and some of like those new metal influences creep back in. Like it felt like it was all about the atmosphere to me. And that really made this album special and a key point of my year last year. Hector, what would you say is like your favorite aspect about private music?
I remember when it came out, a lot of people were saying it was like Deftones by the Numbers or something. And to that I said, fuck you.
Yeah, I disagree with that too.
I don't think it's Deftones by the Number. I think they did like they took inspiration from every album that they have put out and they used it on this album because I think there's elements of like almost every era
Hmm.
because with the aggressive side there's almost like a hint of adrenaline to it.
Hmm. I
But
agree.
so this album is not it does not lack experimentation. Departing the Body has a vocal style that Chino, I was surprised. I even thought that it wasn't Chino at the beginning.
Yeah, the low
So
register. Yeah.
to this day, which I think it's awesome that he stepped out, like he did something different vocally that surprised me. So like when that song, I almost departed my body.
Yeah. That yeah, the low register vocals coming in that song, yeah, that was a total out of left field moment that worked tremendously well for them on that song. That overall, it just that song is basically just the full on like the gloomy post metal track. It's fairly unique in the catalog as well. And that's one example. And every other song on here too. It's they each song has its own like distinction, but yet it's all fitting of this one grand atmosphere that takes up this record. Um, so yeah, before we get into our top three Deftones songs, Hector, do you have anything else, any other comments about this album or any of the albums we've talked about so far?
I just gotta say, Deftones Private Music was my number one album of the year last year, and I have no regrets. Oh,
Yes.
it was my number one by a landslide. My number two was Turnstile, but it wasn't even close.
Yeah. My number two is Abigail Williams, the black metal record, which I it's another record that I really love, but it's I think it was I gave that one a perfect score too, but Private Music just I know years from now I'm gonna listen back on Private Music and it's gonna just instantly take me back to August of 2025, more so than like any other record of this year.
Nick Raskulinecz again did an amazing job producing this band. They should just, from now until the end of the band, just work with him.
Yeah, I agree. He
No,
killed it on this record. Yeah.
nothing against Terry Date, but Ohms was produced by Terry Date, and I think if it had been produced by Nick Raskulinecz, it would have been better. It's not
Yeah.
that it's bad, but yeah.
I agree. I think the Rest Lennox with Deftones the Sound definitely increases the atmosphere of their music just purely from the studio side of things. That's evident on the three albums he's done with them, including this one, uh, by quite a bit. Um, that does it for the discography. Now we're going to answer maybe the hardest question of the entire video, which is what are our top three Deftones songs? So how we're going to do it is we're each going to give our number three followed by our number two, followed by number one, and we're going to kind of switch off. So, Hector, I'll start with you. What is your third favorite Deftones song?
So I'm gonna go with probably an obscure song. Uh, Beware from,
Okay.
from Saturday Night Wrist.
All right. Okay.
I just think that's an amazing song. It has like a build up, and when he goes like "Beware the water," it's like it's not a single, but it's a song that really builds an atmosphere, and I think it's an underrated track.
Yeah. Got to give some love to the deep cuts for sure. My number three is not a deep cut. My number three is the Diamond Eyes title track. This is a song that I think just I've said before. I think I might have said it in my discography ranking video. If I was going to show anybody a Deftones song that's going to try and get them into the band, it would be this one because I think this track is just it's so all encompassing of Deftones' sound. It's got the riffs, it's got the musical outside of the box experimentation and structure. It's got the odd time ideas. It's got some gorgeous melodies on the vocal front. Like that chorus is just it's it's one of the best choruses I've probably ever heard, honestly. And despite that, like the song, it feels like it goes so quick. So it's one of the easiest songs to hit repeat on and to just constantly have repeating because it's really hard to get tired of it because of just how catchy it is the whole time and how quick it is, like I said. So yeah, Diamond Eyes title track, that's my number three. Hector, what is your number two?
Yeah, I feel funny now. My number two is Diamond Eyes.
Oh,
It's my number two because it's a great intro song, and it was like a very important song to start the record because they have been long for a long time.
mhm,
So when it goes like to the end, like you get
mhm.
goosebumps.
Yep.
Like it's so good. The music video, the fucking owl flying in the video, and you're like, Deftones is back, baby. Yeah, it's a great album opener. To this day, it's a song that I never get tired of. And I think it would be a good introduction to Deftones as well. That's
Mhm.
why I have it as my number two.
Yeah. Well, my number two is again kind of an obscure one. It might have been a single. I don't quite remember. It is Heart's Wires from Gore. To me, an underrated song. I remember like the hits from that record being Phantom Bride and Prayers Triangles. But Heart's Wires is easily the best song on that record for me. I love the melodies in this song. Just that verse section with those twinkling clean guitars in the background and that steady going distorted guitar just keeping the pace and Chino's vocals just weaving in and out. It's got another knockout of a chorus, just super catchy. And this is a song kind of as a it's similar but also different from Diamond Eyes in a sense that it's another one that I find to be really easily repeatable because of just the melodies, how they can kind of just act as background music in a good way and like as a mood setting for whatever you're doing. So it's easily repeatable, but in a kind of a different way. So yeah, Hearts Wires is my second pick. Actually, fun fact, this is actually on Spotify. I have this app called Spotistats where it tells you what songs you've played the most. Hearts Wires is my most played Deftones song on
Oh,
Spotify. Yeah.
it's a good track.
Yep, that's the song I've listened to the most from them, apparently. Yeah, that's my number two. So, Hector, what is your favorite number one Deftones song?
So call me a basic bitch. But changing the House of Flies is
Yeah.
Deftones' most important song ever.
Uh-huh.
And to this day, even though I've heard it so much, I never get tired of it because I remember when I first, that feeling when you first listen to a song.
Uh-huh.
The
Yeah.
first time I listened to that song, I was like, wow, it was so different. It was so moody, so atmospheric. I think they also used that in the Queen of the Damned movie. I think it at some point it plays because, the Aliyah tried to be all sexy. Music video is iconic. They're playing. There's like lots of like people like all stoned partying it up. And I think Chino Moreco's like they're like I watch you change. It was like because before that they were more aggressive. So it was I think it was a bold choice to have that as a single at the time because easily people could have backlash. They were like, no, we want my own summer Charlotte
Mhm.
because changing the House of Flies, it's not that it's a soft song, but it's more like atmospheric and moody.
Yeah. It's very moody. Yeah.
It's very moody, but I think it's a great performance, and it's the song that made me like fall in love with Deftones, and that's why I still have it at number one.
It was funny you say that because, like I mentioned earlier, I got into the band in the lead up to Gore after they dropped Prayers Triangles as a single, and I heard that song and I loved it, and I was like, "Holy shit, I got to check out more of this band's stuff." And I remember "Changing the House of Flies" was the very first song I listened to when I dove into their back catalog, and that if Prayers Triangles drew me in, "Changing the House of Flies" hooked me. I was like, "Holy shit, this is awesome!" Great song, great song. My number one is Rosemary from Koi no Yokon. this is a favorite song of all time, period, for me. It's funny enough, it's not my most played Deftones song, but in a way, I don't know if anybody else experiences this, but I purposely will give myself space from songs sometimes because then I could kind of re-listen to it and it gives me that same effect as when I first heard it because it's like so much time has gone by since you've listened to it. And I have a tendency to do that with songs that I really love. And Rosemary is one of those songs that I do that with. So I'm like, no, I don't want to listen to it. I don't want to listen to it for a couple months. Then I'm gonna come back to it and it's gonna hit me really hard. And like the song never fails to do it. I want to do a full band cover of this song. I might have to take some like vocal lessons first before I can sing like Chino does. But this is a favorite song of all time for me. It's
I'm horny.
That's I'm gonna show up to the vocal coach. He's gonna be like, "Yeah, sound horny. That's it." I'm like, "Okay," and then I'm gonna start recording it, and it's gonna be amazing. Just watch. But no, this song is it's an amazing song. It's Deftones at their best, literally, in my opinion. It's the atmosphere they create in this song is just amazing. When that kind of chorus extension kicks in and Shino says the words "Stay with me," like that just it never ceases to give me chills. Like every time I hear it, such an amazing song. Before we wrap things up here, just one more question that Hector and I are each going to answer. What do we want to hear them do next? Hector, what's something you're hoping to hear from the band on their next record, 3, 4, 5 years from now?
I hope it's not 5 years. But what I want to hear from them, I just want to see what they do on the next one. They haven't let me down.
Mhm.
Hopefully, Nick Raskulinecz will be back to work with the band. Uh, if they put an animal on the cover,
That's all we know. It's we're gonna see yeah, Hector and I are gonna see that album cover whenever they announce it, and we're gonna be like, yes, animals are back.
it's an animal. Like if they don't put an animal, I'll be like, it's funny. They put animals or women.
We're gonna be like album of the year, and everyone else is gonna be like, it's not even out yet. You haven't even heard it.
Be like, you haven't heard it. It's the album of the
No,
year.
it's album of the year. Just trust me on this one. Just trust me. It's got an animal on it. That's all we need to know.
Animal, that's all good for me. But I wanna see the band. First of all, if they came to Puerto Rico, I'm gonna buy those tickets. I wanna be like near them. I
Yeah.
want to taste Chino Moreno's sweat. I,
Oh
I,
man.
I'm such a and
You
I'm
digital bath.
a fan of Deftones, but I'm also a fan of the other projects that he does.
Crosses. Yeah.
Process is really cool, more dance stuff. He had a band called Palms, which
Mhm.
is with members from another band, and it's more like post metal stuff.
Okay.
He had Team Sleep.
Hmm. Yes. I think I've like dabbled in listening to like a little bit of the side projects, but never fully dove in. So that's something I'll probably have to do more. Um, So yeah, what I want to hear from Deftones on their next album, ideally, yeah, I would love for Nick Raskulinecz to come back again. I think he just absolutely kills it with Deftones' albums. Um, I think the band has proven that when they just go in with no expectations and they do whatever they do, we're gonna have a good result. So yeah, I like when they're heavy. I like when they're atmospheric and when they're spacey, and I like when they focus on just writing catchy songs. Those are all the elements that makes their best material to me their best. So I'm confident I'm going to enjoy whatever the band does next. Just being such a big Deftones fan. So yeah, that's about it. That's it for this first episode of Deeper Dives with Deftones. Hector, thank you so much for joining me in this video. I'm going to link Hector's channel in the description below. He does a lot of reviews, a lot of interviews. He's a music content machine. So if you have not subscribed to him yet, you should definitely do that. Hector, any last words before we depart?
Yes. And thanks to Brady, I now know how
Yeah.
to use record on my iPhone.
That was really funny. That was really funny. Screen recording 101. That's
I felt like such a boomer.
That was really funny. Well, all right. Well, anyways, that's all we have for you guys for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please comment below your response to anything we've discussed in this video. Tell me what your favorite Deftones songs or what your favorite Deftones albums are. If there's anything we, for some reason, didn't touch on in this video, add it down below. Share with us some fun facts if you're a hardcore Deftones fan. And yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, I will see you guys later. Peace.